Hey guys, welcome to another podcast here. I'm live in Carlsbad with Eddie. How do you say your last name, Eddie?
Madrigal.
Madrigal?
Yes, sir.
Sweet. And we got Bryce Evans in the place.
How we doing?
I'm doing great, dude. And they're both from, where are you guys from? You from the same place, right?
Tascadero, California.
Tascadero, California.
Call it the A-Town.
And how long you been selling life insurance, Bryce?
About a year and a half.
Year and a half. Okay. And Eddie? How
3
about
months. Just came up on 3 months on the 25th of February.
Wow. All right. And what's the most families you've helped in a month, Eddie?
Most families helped in a month. Probably about like 12 families.
12 families.
I think,
Okay.
so
And
far.
how old are you?
18.
18.
Yeah.
Okay. You think you could help as many families as your age 1 month?
Definitely, 100%.
Why not?
If I can help
Right?
5, I can help 10.
If you could help 5, you could help 10. All right, 100%. And the cool thing about this business is that you got to be 18 to get a license. You know, there's a lot of other things that, and especially and at 18, I wasn't even thinking about getting an insurance license. But if you are and you're watching this, you're ahead of the curve, okay? And you think about what 12 families, equates for Eddie's family, his future, what he's got going on to invest back in his business. It's pretty major. For Family First Life to have that kind of opportunity out there for everybody, not depending on your education or your how old you are. It's like there's a lot of different factors that go into helping that many families to get the result financially that you want. At the end of the day, and so that's really cool, really cool. And Bryce, Eddie. How do you know Eddie?
I know his older brother. I met his older brother first, and then his older brother's wife is a really good family friend of mine. So Eddie found the business through them.
Cool. Is it fair to say, Eddie, that being 18 and having let's say you met Bryce off of an ad, do you think your parents would be super jacked up about you doing life insurance, or you think having it be through somebody that and you have known for a while has kind of helped maybe your family go, hey, good deal, do that, and then also you make that happen? Do you think that has some bearing on that?
100%. Yeah, it gives me some confidence. If Bryce tells me something, I'm gonna do it 100%. And it as well gives my parents like a little bit of a okay, well, they know him, mutually good guy, and they also give me that push as well. They know of Bryce, right? And they just give me that push still at the end of the day. My parents,
It's a small town.
Yeah.
From a small town, yeah.
Yeah. And you know what, man? And it's the same, and I feel you with that. And we're gonna get into this sales, but I just want to really kind of put a light on that, because that's how I found the business as well. And at 23, when I found out about selling life insurance and helping families, it made sense, but I was more comfortable because my buddy was doing it. And I was like, all right. And my mom was like, almost like, yeah, I guess Marcus's parent says it's okay, then I guess I'm gonna just say it's okay, and it kind of started this fire of, all right, let's just all do it. And we all kind of figured it out together, and it was really cool. So that's good stuff. Eddie, what has been some of the biggest hurdles for you coming into? I don't even have to ask you. Did you do any sales or anything like that before? Because you didn't of any significance, I guess. What could you do at 15, 16? That's legal. Okay, let's come on. So we're going to legal sales, Eddie. All right, legal sales. So sorry, that was a mistake. I'm new to this. So, what's some of the biggest hurdles, dude, that you had to overcome and learn in this business?
Definitely learning how to talk to people and not being afraid to call people out on what they're saying in the home, actually. So that's for in the home, just calling people out, not being afraid to tell them the truth and be honest with them. It's kind of hard when you're an 18-year-old telling a 60-year-old Mary that she's going to die and her family's going to be in a really bad situation. So that was a really big stepping for me. Still working on that as well. And as well just learning to be my own boss, learning that I'm going to be the manager or the boss and the employee, putting in that work for myself, for my family, for the team, for everyone around me, everyone that, you know, looks into the slags like, oh, that 18-year-old is getting it. Why can't I? You know?
And when you say you're taking control in the home and it's challenging. There you go. For a 18-year-old, it's like, is it challenging or is it uncomfortable?
It's uncomfortable, 100%.
It's uncomfortable. Let's talk about that uncomfortability and maybe some scenarios to where you weren't bold enough because you thought, I did the same, I do that 18, 23, 43. If you're brand new in this industry, I'm sorry, we're all 18. All right, stop it. All right, we're not picking on Eddie because he's 18. All right, everybody, when you're new in this business, we all are scared. We all don't know what to do. It just is easier to say at 18 you should be, okay? But guys, we all are. Is that fair? Like, it's not. How about you? You feel the same way?
Well, yeah, 100%. I mean, I was in the same boat, and still sometimes when you're sitting down with somebody, you know, much older than yourself, and we're talking about something as important as protecting their family, and we're talking about, you know, hey, what's it going to look like for your family when you're no longer here? It's very uncomfortable to challenge them. I mean, I remember in the beginning, that's one of the biggest things that I struggled with is I wanted to be friends with everybody. It was so much more comfortable to be just kind of like laughing and joking the whole time and have it be like a happy, you know, no emotion involved. But so it's definitely, you feel like you just, there's a road that you know that you have to go down in order to get them uncomfortable. And a lot of times in the beginning, you're just like, oh man, maybe I can get to the numbers and they'll pick one because they like me and they like the coverage and they like the price and it'll all be good and I don't have to do that. Right. But then you realize like, man, that's not what's going to get people to move. Like, this is such an emotional sale. So yeah, there's definitely a hurdle of getting over the wanting to stay comfortable the entire time. Like, you got to get uncomfortable to get people to move.
Bryce, when you say emotional sell, does that mean like when I hear that, I think I know what you mean now, but I think when I started, I used to think like, man, are you like making people cry? Like, is this like are you making people think they're gonna die emotional? Like, what does that mean? Because how do you bring what's the emotional part about it that can get uncomfortable?
I think it's just getting people to maybe admit or talk about something that they maybe haven't ever talked about before, or if they have, maybe not with like a professional, and certainly not with a stranger. To admit that, like, you know, it's not easy for somebody that has a lot of pride and kids to admit that all this time they maybe haven't set their family up in the way that they should yet to this point, right? And what's uncomfortable is getting them to admit, like, yeah, I need to do something because, you know, unfortunately, like, what I've done up to this point isn't going to take care of my family. Like, that's the emotional part, and that's the uncomfortable part. It's not easy to just to tell some guy, it's like, hey, look, you've done a great job raising your family. Like, it sounds like you have some beautiful kids, but, you know, the income that you have now is Social Security. And, you know, you mentioned that your kid does this, that, or whatever, and, you know, what's it going to look like for them? Like, I assume they don't have $15,000 just laying around to cover your burial. Does that sound fair? Like, it's not easy for him to admit, like, yeah, I haven't set myself up to this point where, like, is going to potentially be a burden to somebody else. Like, I've left that on their plate, right? It's just, it's not easy. So I think that's the uncomfortable part, is just getting them to admit something that they probably haven't talked about before.
And, you know, who does? You know, they thought about it, they filled out something, they saw it on the internet, and sometimes you got to be the one that brings it to reality.
Right.
You know, it's not, oh, well, they don't want it. There's just these things that people do in the home that can make you feel that, man, like, do they really want this? And you're like, why would you say that? And you try to rationalize it. You can't try to rationalize it. You always got to go like, there's a reason I'm here. Yeah, like when you show up and they go, you know what? I'm not paying for nothing. Dude, that used to mess me up early. I used to be like, what you mean? Like, what you mean? I got this and you're supposed to, you know, and we're supposed to exchange like goods. And no, like, you will be buying. Like, I believed it so much I would try to fight it. Versus, I'm not buying nothing today. Sweet, I'm not selling nothing, but the insurance company needs to know, like, are you like, your health and things like that, so we can see if you qualify. So, anyways, can I get a glass of water? And you're like, dude, you just acknowledged everything, kept it pushing, and by the end of it, you're getting a voided check. Like, how'd that happen? Because I wasn't crazy focused on what they said. I remembered why I was there and kept going. And you'd be like, well, that's being bold. That's like you're like, well, the customer's always right. Like, you walk in the house and they go, well, how much is it? Early on, man, I'd pull out my calculator and just be like, I'm like, dude, you don't even know like what they got. So my answer is like, well, what you got? All right, that's what a lot of clients say. Well, what you got? I say, what you got? Like, what you mean? Like, cancer, diabetes, heart attack. What you got? Totally messes them up. You take control. Checkmate. You sit there, have a glass of water, and they understand that like this is a business, and I'm here to serve you and help you, but not here for you to tell me what to do. I don't go to the mechanic shop and tell them what to do to my car. I say, hey, my car's making a noise. They go, okay, and I go, okay. Let me get out of here. What time you want me to be back? Does that make sense? Like, and so it's just, it's very, you have to, but you got to know you're doing it for the right reasons, and they got to know you're doing it for the right reasons. You know, how does activity help you being bold, Eddie?
Dude, activity is everything, because the more you're uncomfortable, the more you're going to be comfortable as you do it. Simple as that. It's door knocking, getting in the home, just simply getting in the home. They talk about your first 100 appointments. And it's literally just reps after reps after reps, getting in the home, seeing the same situation a couple times over and over. And then next time you go into the home, you take control of the whole situation. You end up getting the family covered.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, I think that it's once you start running a lot of appointments, you know, like the path that you need to go down with these clients to get them to what's going to help their family. Right, it's kind of tough to know that in the beginning. You might just kind of have like okay, I got to ask these health questions and some budget questions, and I'm going to call somebody. But as you start to gain some experience, and that's why it's so important to just blast through that learning curve so you can just sit in on a ton of appointments, you really get an understanding of like, okay, this is the direction that I know this appointment needs to go so I can provide the value to their family. Like what you were talking about, when you get that stuff in the beginning, it can throw you off because you don't really know like the direction, like where to take it. But the best way to lead a client down the path of what's going to help their family is by knowing where you want to go and by getting out in front of those objections, right? And just by staying in the batter's box, right? Like not letting the high cheese like make you step away and get scared of the next pitch, right? 100%. So it's about staying in the batter's box, knowing the path that you want to take them down, but that comes with activity. And once you know kind of the direction you want each appointment to go, you know, it's a lot harder to allow whatever stuff that they're going to throw at you kind of throw you off. So activity is everything. You know, okay, hey, this is where we're going to go. I need to ask these questions. I need to get out in front of these potential objections so I can provide the plan that's going to help their family. But you don't know that in your first 10, 15, 20, 30 appointments. You're just kind of going with it, just kind of hoping, just, you know, doing what you've been watching in the trainings and calling for help. But once you gain that experience, man, it just it becomes a ton of fun.
Eddie, what's something that you're working on now?
Digging into people's why still, and just not being afraid to ask questions in the home, and being confrontational with people. Not confrontational, but really calling people out like on what they're doing, and just kind of calling people out like what they're really saying in the home. Like, you don't want to sign today. Like, really, what would your daughter say if she heard you say, I don't want to sign today and I don't want to put protection in for my family? Like, listen to what they're really saying, and as well listening, you know, really listen to the client, because you kind of know in your head in the home what you want to say, but then it's just like, okay, let me listen. Let me think of how I'm going to word these words out, how I'm going to explain it to the client, how important this protection is for their family, right? And it's just taking control in the home, like in the beginning, like clients smiling while you're like, okay, what does it look like for your family? God forbid you were to pass away and your family is now in debt $15,000, $20,000 for a funeral, right? Clients smiling. I'm like, why are you smiling? I'm kind of confused. Like, I don't think that's funny, right? It's just being confrontational with people and just kind of making it awkward almost, you know, making them feel that. It's like, yeah, that's really not that funny. Like, in their head, they're like, who's this guy talking to me, right? But it's like, it's honestly like, it's not funny, and it's, you know, it makes them feel good that you think it's not funny, right? That this is a serious what we're doing here is serious. This is protection for your family. So it's like really, it's
They see you as a professional.
yeah, they see you as a professional. That you're not in here to joke around. You're here to put some business down for them and put some protection for their family.
That's an interesting dynamic that you just shared there, because you're right. It is what they want you. It's like they want you to fight for their family. Like when George is sitting there going, you know what? They can just bury me in the backyard. And you go, dude, that's not funny at all. Like, and they're not going to put you in the backyard. Yeah. Maria loves you. And like, that wasn't funny. Even though he may be like, dude, like this, he's going to go, that's exactly who I want to be helping protect my family. Because that's not funny. And why would he be here if I was going to get buried in the backyard? Like, that wasn't going to happen. You know, like, so there's things, but if you share that moment with the client of that laughter, you're trying to be buddy with them, or, you know, you sit there talking to them about the football game or whatever it is forever. Now you just lost. You lost. Now it's not, you're not professional. And I don't mean professional as in like, you know, everything about insurance and stuff. Like, carry yourself as a businessman or woman, whatever that means to you. And sometimes maybe not what that means to you, because sometimes it's too much. So, you know, sometimes you got to tone it back a little bit and chill, you know? And I think when you can find you in the home, things happen. But if you're always trying to be something or trying to, like, I think you got to meet people where they are and be open to, what's the word? I hear people say comfortable being uncomfortable, but I think get used to risking offending people in order to help them.
100%, yeah.
And if you can do that, you live on that side of, you know what, I'm going to say the truth and not say like, if I'm not bold, I'm lying. No. You're just like, you're tiptoeing. You know, it's like going, oh, she's 83. I just, you know, she didn't really know what she was, you know, she had to think about it. I'm like, really? Like, dude, she's closer to dying. And, like, you didn't want to push her because she was 83 and you thought that. Like, what? Like, how's that pushing? Like, isn't it wrong that she's going to die without insurance now? Or is it more wrong that you thought you were going to offend her? I think it's just perspective, how we're going to, like, we got to check ourselves when we're going, I'm doing this because I didn't door knock them because it was, you know, it was too early, man. It was 8:30. You sure? Or you were just worried about maybe they thought they were going to think it was too early, that you were going to get offended? Like, but it's not, we're helping people with life insurance. You know, like, you don't have tomorrow. I had an agent and he goes, hey, well, I went over there. They told me they had 15 minutes. So I told him I'd come back tomorrow. And I was like, that's definitely enough time. And they wouldn't have cared if you were there for 25 or 30 at all. Well, I didn't want to push. Ooh, you know they're going to live tomorrow? Well, I didn't think about that. I always think about that. Why not? Why wouldn't you? Paul McClain goes, if you knew they were going to die tomorrow, well, how would you act today? If I was 100% sure Mary was going to die tomorrow and I had an appointment with her and I'm in her house, how would I act? And I couldn't tell her that I knew. What would you do? What information would you gather from her? What questions would you ask her to make it real? So I appreciate you guys hopping on today, Eddie and Bryce, and we're going to continue to kill it. Have a good day, y'all. Peace out.